and welcome to the 757 Spy Flight over on YouTube. That is a DC-6. It's the Bravo model, and apparently it is now over on Xbox. I gotta tell you, this was one of those airplanes that was one of the first really cool airplanes that we got when Microsoft Flight Simulator first launched on PC, and now it's come to the Xbox. So it's time to dust off this classic jetliner and do a full flight. Hello, my name is Dave. Welcome to the channel. Welcome if you are new, and I hope that you are enjoying this airplane, especially if you're flying on Xbox, because there is an awful lot of Xbox pilots that have been waiting for some of the more cool airplanes that they're seeing the PC pilots. Now, to be specific, I am flying on the PC today. I don't have an Xbox, but it's made by PMDG, the same people that made the PMDG and the PC. So my guess is things are going to be, things are probably going to be fairly close. And my hope is that this flight is something that you have a little bit of fun with. So what are we going to do today? We're going to do a historic flight because a lot of airlines used to fly the DC-6, and there is a cool resource that you can go to over on the internet, and it is called Timetable Images. I think it's timetableimages.com. Link in the description. But you can get the images and in some cases complete timetables from all sorts of historic airlines. Not just United like I'm flying today, but any airline, and not just U.S. airlines, but world airlines. This was the first page of a United timetable from 1947. This is when United was flying the DC-6. And you could see that they had, if you look in the lower right corner here, you can see the route map. Back in the day, United was not quite, what it was right now. And they also did a lot of connections with other airlines. So let's go over here, and here's page one. And they had 4 premium non-stop flights. Chicago and New York, huge big destinations way back in the day. The 9 o'clock was have dinner in New York, leave LaGuardia at 9 p.m. and arrive in Chicago at 11:20 p.m. in time for a good night's sleep. I mean, these were the 8, 12, 5 o'clock, and 7 o'clock airplanes, all in DC-6s. No, we're not going to do this one. We're going to go over here, and we're going to, let's see if I can find it. Where was it? I think maybe it was over on page 1. Okay, yeah, I think it is. Seattle to Portland. So this is a good 1-hour flight, and this is a good way to get started with this airplane. So if you look here at the timetable, we're going to do United Airlines Flight 60. It's very small. These things read, of course, like train timetables, because that's what everybody was used to reading. And so every morning at 8 a.m., United Flight 650 departed Seattle for Portland. It was a DC-6 flight, which meant you had to pay an extra $1 to ride on the DC-6. Here's a little bit more information. So this flight, Seattle to Portland, the fare was $7.90. Now, that was in $1947, and that included the extra $1 that you had to pay to be a passenger on a DC-6. That translates to $106.58. This is a one-way trip from Seattle to Portland. So again, the link is in the description for the timetables. You can even go and get the airfares. That's towards the end here. And holy moly, that is the condensed one-way fare table. If you look here, premium charges for the United, they called it the Mainliner 300. We all call it the DC-6. And if you wanted to fly the newest and the greatest airplane, you had to pay an extra $1, which was a bit of a bigger deal way back then. So we're in the mainliner. It's the DC-6B, the Bravo. So originally the airplane, the DC-6, was made as a cargo airplane for the military. And so that was the DC-6A, and it had a huge big cargo door. Oh, we just went through the wing there. And it had a huge big cargo door over on the other side, and they would actually do like combination things, passengers in the back, cargo up front stuff. Well, then they decided, well, we should probably make this for passenger use after World War II. So that's how it is that we have this airplane right now. It was not exactly a speed demon or anything like that. Let's see, our service ceiling on this airplane was 25,000 feet. The cruising speed was 315 miles per hour. Give us a range. If you had a full load of passengers, you could go about 2,610 miles. If you had maximum fuel, and so you didn't have as many passengers, you could go up to 4,000 miles. And passenger totals could be anywhere from 42 to right around 89 passengers is what you could have on this particular airplane. Seating on this airplane, I think that I was able to research and find out that United carried about 58 passengers. They had a bit of a premium cabin up front. And one of the other interesting things that they did with this airplane is they had kind of a sleeper type of a thing. So there was this sleeper type of a setup that they could do, and you could actually go back air into the cabin. So let's kind of come on in here. We're using the drone cam right now. And so as we go beyond the pilot's door, you can come back into the cabin and you can see, oh, we had kind of a little more of a premium cabin here. So this would have been first class. And if you look up here, you can also see these things. Those are beds. So you could actually drop beds down and spend the night. Those are some bathrooms, lavatories. And as we continue on back here, now this middle part, you know, next to the very, very noisy engines of the day, and, you know, make no mistake, these were pretty noisy back in the day too. So there's the big old prop. So they probably put most of the, what we would call economy in the middle of the airplane. And you notice that they don't have the, you notice the ceiling up here doesn't have the sleepers. But if you go further in the back where it's going to be more quiet, I'm going to guess that this would have been business class, and this is where you've got more sleepers. The galley was right here, and this was actually the door that you got into. So using jetways is not a way to go. And then you continue going on back here. And we've got a bathroom, another lavatory, and a closet, because when you got aboard the airplane, you could go and check your coat, and there you go. And they would give you a little ticket with your number on it, so you could get your coat back. In-flight entertainment, not an awful lot here. They did have these little footrests, so you could pull this thing down, and that was, I think, a leftover thing from trains, and so they would have these footrests. So a couple of things to look forward to. Let's go over on this side. When you start up this airplane, especially if you start it up at night, go and look at this part of the airplane here. You're going to see flames coming out of the exhaust ports here. And so you can also see where there's a little bit of scorching here from the hot exhaust and stuff. And if you look in really tight, you can see that's where the flames will go squirting out the engine, especially when you start this thing up. So that's one of the cool things that you can do with this too. Now, there's some really nice things here that you can do. First of all, if you are a user of SimBrief, guess what? They got a profile for the airplane. So you can go ahead and plug in a profile. You can use GPS navigation on this airplane. I don't think that I'm all that pure, but I'm going to tell you that it's sort of like, wait a minute, GPS and a DC-6. No, I do VOR to VOR navigation with this thing. So what you can do is go over to another website, link in the description, called SkyVector. Now, SkyVector is a real-world navigation planner. You can even log in as a real-world pilot and file your flight plan. So if you're a sim pilot, don't create an account. You don't have to log in to use it. And whatever you do, don't file a flight plan, because you're filing a real-world flight plan, and that might cause a problem for you down the road. What I've got set up here right now is we have basically got the VFR maps. We're taking off from Seattle. We're going to go to the Olympia VOR, and then go to the Battleground VOR, and then we're going to land in Portland. We'll still use real-world weather, which means it's soggy in Seattle, but we're also going to go ahead and try and navigate using the current active runways, which is 16 left and 10 left. Remember, this is YouTube. It's recorded. Your runways and weather is probably going to be a little different, although, I don't know, probably still raining in Seattle. Another thing that you can do is once you go in and do your flight plan here and you say, okay, I'm going to go to the Olympia and then the Battleground VORs, you can hit the Navlog button, and Navlog is going to give you this page here. If you're new to all of this, I'm going to recommend just saving this as a PDF to your desktop or something. And so one of the things that you can do is this is going to give you a couple of cool little bits of information. It's going to give you, first of all, the VOR's frequency. So we're going to use Olympia and Battleground, which is 113.4 and 116.6. And if you take a look in the flight notes, you know, the famous spy flight strip that I use over on Twitch, I've copied and pasted this into the description. So you can copy and paste this into your own notepad and use it. And you'll see over here in the flight plan area, I've included, after the Olympia VOR, a heading, 205 degrees, and the frequency, 113.4. So you're going to have that information in case you need it too. 63 passengers is what we're carrying today. It did not assign cargo. It's about an hour and 5 minutes. Gives us a 0 fuel weight. Fuel, 5,318 pounds. Yeah, we also welcome back to the pound zone in this particular flight. So we've got our Navlog. It's going to give us our headings. It's going to give us our general airspeed, which is about, I don't know. We're not going to be going at warp factor 10 on this one. If you're looking for more information, Wikipedia has a very nice page on the Douglas DC-6. And as I mentioned at the beginning, there is a website. It's called timetableimages.com. Link in the description. This is where you can go and you can get timetables from the past. And it's not just, like I said, North America, US, it's all over the world. People have been contributing images of old timetables all over the world. And that's where I was able to go and get this information for a real world 1947 flight. This is something that they did pretty much every day. Okay, so that is far too much yapping about this. Let's go ahead and go and do the flight. My cold and dark that I have set up for this airplane, you can see down here that I do have a power cart set up, and you can set up your own cold and dark. Let's go ahead and crawl into the cockpit here and look at all the old gauges here. Wow. Now then, one of the things I like to suggest is before you take off, move your controls around. The problem is moving the controls around is not going to work so much because these old airplanes had control locks. So one of the things we can do is move the throttles. And unless you've got 4 throttle levers, I have all of my throttles basically put on one lever. That's about all that is that I've got set up here. Other stuff that I've gone and set up, we do have an electronic flight bag over here that we'll use. And this is how we can go and put wheel chocks in place. Let's do that for right now. Good idea. The ground power unit is connected. If you want, you can open the forward cabin exit. And if you go outside, you can see the forward cabin exit. This is for this would have been for the pilots. It's not a very good view. Let's go over here and use this one. Okay, so you can see that we've got this one all set up for the pilots there. And it has this really interesting little ladder that they had set up for that. So come on back over here and let's go ahead and do the front stairs. And then you can go and the stairs are going to go out. And apparently it was quite the ladder to climb up there too. So, and it did at least have, you know, handrails and stuff. So we can go and we can deploy those stairs. Let's see, we could also open up the main cabin exit and the main cabin stairs there. Those are going to be over on the other side of the airplane. This is how the passengers got on. So this is how the passengers got onto the airplane. So we've got those all set up. And let's see, we could also do cargo holds. You could open those doors. You could also do some cockpit lighting here. You can do cold and dark. You could do ready for start. All of those are really easy to understand options. PMDG has done a really good job with this. So we've got all of that set up. And this is what we call this is the first page. This is the ramp manager page. Next page is going to be the fuel and loading manager. Now, this is a little bit hard to figure out. Right now, it's going to give you gross weight and maximum fuel and shows your maximum gross weight. And so this is not as intuitive as it used to be. or not, no, the way they did this, the way the way things used to be is not the way we do things now. So you loaded, different weight levels. And so this is going to be a little bit different than just plugging in your zero fuel weight, plug it in your fuel and going. So the first thing that I'm going to do is the number of passengers is 63. And so what we'll do here is we can go to 68. You can do those numbers or you can dial them up and down. So we can either do 68, 58. I don't see how I can go to 62. Can we click in here? Can we do 62? Nope, you can't do it that way. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so you click on the right side of the arrows and that gives you the full number. The left side of the arrows is how you can go and do individuals. So this is how we're gonna get to 62 passengers. Okay, there's our passengers right there. We didn't have any fuel, so we're not putting a bunch of baggage aboard. So right now, the next thing to do is fuel. Fuel to get down to Portland is 5,318 pounds. Right now, we have 16,000 pounds. So this, let's set our fuel at 50%. And there is 16,000. So now we can go over here and dial down. This is your total fuel. So there is 15,000. We're going to 5,000. So let's just keep cranking it down here. Cranking it down. There's 11. There's 10,000 pounds of fuel. 9, 8, 7. What is it? It's supposed to be 5,300. Let's do 7,300. We're going to add 2,000 extra pounds of fuel just because. Okay. And so this gives us gross weight is now 80,000 pounds of airplane. So I think that's probably pretty good. And at this point in time, essentially, your job is done. Your airplane is loaded once you do that. You don't have to click load or anything. So the next thing for us to do is there's two ways to start this airplane. You look up here at the upper panel and you think, holy cats, look at all of this. There's a lot to learn. And I know that as sim pilots, we want to go flying. So the folks from PMDG realize this is a complex airplane. Not a lot of us know that much about it. So they have included the AFE, the Automated Flight Engineer. So the airplane, there were two pilots. There's the captain and there's the first officer. And then back here, if you see this, there is a seat here. And this was the flight engineer's seat. So the flight engineer sat here and the flight engineer actually ran the mixture, ran the airflow, cooled the engines. This is where the flight engineer sat. And so the flight engineer also had a radio panel. And you can come around here and look around. You can see the radio panel. If you look over here, there is a window looking straight up. This was for celestial navigation. And if you go to flightsim.to, there is an application for celestial navigation. Another live streamer on Twitch, Captain Fabio, did a full celestial navigation flight from one side of the Atlantic to the other, landed, and it was a success because the stars at night are not just big and bright deep in the heart of Texas. The stars at night are also accurate in Microsoft Flight Simulator. So that's one of the things that you can do. And that's why they had the window up there. As you take a look around in here, though, you look and see, oh my gosh, all of this stuff, we want to go flying. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the Automated Flight Engineer. So with that, I think we're done. Let's go ahead. I do have a stack of charts set up here, over here in Navigraph. So here's our parking ramp. We are at gate Alpha 5. After we get started, we'll do a nice little pushback, and we are taxiing on to 16 left. So we can go to the Echo taxiway. We don't need 11,000 feet of runway for this airplane. We could probably even go to the Kila taxiway here if we wanted to. So we're going to taxi, and then we're going to take off. We're going to set the VOR and go to the Olympia and do our flight. coming on in right now based on my weather. Portland is landing on the 10s, and it's got a setup to land here on runway 10 left. So there's the Battleground VOR. That's our next VOR that we're going to. So we're going to have to descend to 3,000. Our cruise for today is 12,000. So after that, we can set up an ILS and a inbound course. Minimums here at Portland are 293 feet. The weather in Portland is overcast at 3,400. So just a simple landing should be nice. After we land on 10 left, we'll exit here probably at around Alpha 4. And United Airlines today parks in Portland right over here in the Echo Gates. So there's our flight. We're all set and ready to go. If you do have Navigraph, one of the cool things you've probably seen is the Navigraph surface airport map. And it's the one that's really, really colorful. And to get to that map that has all the gates and stuff, what you do is you go to the main map outside of your stack of charts and just zoom all the way in. And this is actually the way that I navigate on the ground, is using this as a moving map, and I slide it over here. Okay, so I think we're all ready to go. Shall we do flying things? And to get a little bit of help, we're going to use, like I said, the artificial flight engineer, and we're going to do the before start checklist. Okay, let's go ahead and be sure you have the sound up so you can hear what's going on.
Cockpit pre-flight.
Okay, they're turning on all the batteries right now. So battery power is on.
Completed. Voice recorder. Tested.
Voice recorder.
Oil coolers and cow flaps. Auto and position. Fuel and fluids. Checked. Pressurization. Set. Manifold and duct pressure. Checked.
Lots to do.
Radios. Checked.
These are our radios.
Doors and hatches.
Up there goes they're closing the doors. You can see the cargo hatches. There goes the main door over there. Doors and hatches are closed.
Closed.
Yep.
Door warning lights. Out.
Door warning lights are up here.
Gear pins. Removed. 3 on board. Seat belts and pedals. Adjusted. Throttles. Set to idle. Propellers. Forward and 3. Before start checks complete. Start engines.
Okay, so we are now in the position to start up our engines. One of the things that you're going to need is a couple of views here. So let's see. I'm trying to remember which one mine are. Okay, there's main captain view. There's that view. Okay, there's that. Okay, so this is about as close as we're going to get. So we can move down and have a look here. There's a couple of things you need to be able to see. These are the mixture controls. Okay, there's the landing gear lever, big red lever that goes up and down. And you can see the flight engineer has already started, done the mixture setting. And the mixture is, this is engine number 3. You start engine 3, engine 4, engine 1, and engine 2. I believe that that's the order for start. So the way we start this is the flight engineer has already done auto rich on the mixture, but we have to go and do the rest of it. So come on out here, move your camera around, and we'll go to these engines right here so we can see these, and let's go ahead and start engines. And to start the engines, we're basically going to do 3 things. You're going to hear a voice, and it's going to start counting. That's the flight engineer looking out the window and counting the prop blades as they go around. And as they go around, that's when you're going to go and do not only start, but you're going to boost the engine, prime the engine, and boost the engine to get it to start. Ready, So what you do is there's a safety switch here and the starter switch. You actually kind of push those two pinch them together so that you couldn't just start an engine unless you really wanted to, okay? So all you have to do is click start, listen for the count.
3, 6, 9,
Prime it,
12.
boost it. We've got an engine started, okay? And if you look really carefully, PMDG, they modeled the vibration of the engine. So you can see the engine kind of vibrating the cowl, but look over here. If you look here at your engine instruments, the engine instruments are vibrating a little bit too, because these airplanes, they vibrated the fillings out of your teeth was the joke of the day. Okay, so we got this one done. We're ready to start engine 4. So come on down here, and what you're gonna do is you're gonna pick up this mixture and make your mixture go to auto rich. Now we got to come over here and do several things. First of all, we're going to do the ignition, so magnetos to both. We're going to do engine start selector to engine number 4. We're going to go here and do the booster pump and turn the engine booster pump on. And I think that's it. It's been a while, so if I seem a little rusty, there's a reason. So let's try it again. Again, starter, prime it, and boost it. Starting 4.
3, 6,
Prime at 9.
9,
Boost it
12.
12. And we got another engine going. How about that? Slide over here. Now we got a jetway in the way here. So yeah, we've got a jetway in the way, so we're not going to see those. Let's go ahead and get the next engines going. So let's go ahead and we're going to start engine number 1. And that one goes all the way to the top. Look up here, and let's go ahead and start 1. So the ignition, magnetos go to both. Starter goes to engine number 1. Main fuel boost pump goes to low, and we'll do the same thing. Start it. 3.
3, 6, 9,
Prime.
12.
Boost. And you can also watch your engine instruments go up too. Now this is one of those engines where basically you've got, you know, 2 sets of engine instruments on the same meter. So be ready for that. And we got another engine started. Now one of the things that'll happen is these switches will slowly click off. So you can still see there goes the primer and there goes the booster. So you kind of have to wait just a little bit before you start them. And now let's go ahead and do our last engine. So mixture is rich. Ignition, both. Engine start selector to 2. Main fuel, and here we go, starting another one.
3, 6, 9,
Prime,
12.
boost. And here comes another engine. Now what I usually do is after we do all of this, I will go and just move my throttle forward a bit and back. That's going to kind of sync your hardware throttles down with the airplane, and then I'm going to push the engine's RPM up just a touch here. There we go, just a touch, especially sometimes when it's cold. You might also notice that you move your throttles forward and these don't move forward quickly. It is a cranky old airplane, so these things take time. Okay, so let's come over here, and we're going to come down here, and we're going to do the after start. Come on, let's do the flight engineer.
Start selected boost pumps.
Off.
Off and off. Battery switch. Plane battery. Generators and inverters. Checked and on. Emergency lights. Armed. Ground power. Removed. After start checks complete.
Okay, one thing that we're going to need to do is we look up here, is we need to come over here and we need to do our, we need to come over here and we need to do the cabin pressurization. So you see there's a altimeter over here, but what we're going to do is dial this around to our cruising altitude. So you see where it says flight and cabin? So our cruise is 12,000 feet, so we're going to dial this to 5, 7, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So at 12,000 feet, you can see that now we're going to add a little bit of pressurization in the cabin too. These were somewhat pressurized, not even close to what we're used to in today's jetliners. Now then, these airplanes have reversers. And the reverser is there's a handle here. And so let's come on over here and see how we're doing here. So our next checklist is before. So we're ready to go. So let's see, we're gonna go here and I'm going to, toe brakes are on, parking brake is off. This is your reverser handle, throttle's reverse. And then if you have a button, that's a really good thing to have, a button so that you can do the reversers. And then just move your throttles forward a little bit. Release the brakes, and slowly you can push yourself back. I don't know that they would do a pushback. Okay. Yep, reverser's engaged. Did I get the chocks off? Yeah, chocks are off. Okay, let's see if we can move it forward at all. Sometimes this works, sometimes it doesn't. Let's see if we can roll forward and taxi forward and out. I've got a full right rudder over. Okay, so it's not going to let me power back. So we're just going to power out this way. Oh no. Okay, now we're powering back. Now I think I'm powering back here. I've got full throttle back here. I wonder if I'm not hung up on something. Well, we appear to be a little messed up here. Let's see. Again, it's been a while since I've done this one. Let's try pushback helper. Let's get the tug and see if pushback helper will push us back. Hey, look at that. Pushback helper to the rescue. How about that? Pushback helper is free at flightsim.to. It saves the day. Look at this, we can even push the tail around a bit. So if I'd wanted to be a really cool simulator pilot, I could have gone and used that. Let's go to parking brakes, lose the tug, pushback helper saves the day. Okay, let's just make sure we've disengaged everything. We have, good. All right, shall we try and go again? Parking brakes off, toe brakes are on. Release the brakes, and let's see if we can taxi forward. Yay! Life works for us. How about that? Now then, since we're going to do a little bit of VOR navigation, as we're doing our nice little gentle taxi here, the next thing for us to do is set our first VOR frequency. And our first VOR frequency is the Olympic VOR, And Olympic VOR is 113.4. So, 113.4. I'm dialing the radio over here on the left. 113.4, and I'm going to make that active. So that is now my active VOR. We'll come over here. Now then, our course to there is going to be 205. So we can come down here and let's go ahead and set this to 205. So there's 210. There's 200. There is 205. There's our VOR. We're all set and ready to go. I'm going to cheat. I don't usually like to do this. I'm just going to hit the B button on this airplane, and that set my altimeter. Now then, our next frequency is going to be that battleground VOR. That frequency is 1166. Because we're a busy camper, I'm going to go and put 116.6 up here in my standby and continue to taxi. I'm also going to go 116.6 up here in the VOR2. 116.6, I'm going to make that active. All while I'm taxiing. Not being a very good taxier, am I? Let's get out of the ramp area. How's that sound? Okay, so what I've gone and done is we have set our next VOR up. And so what this means is what we can do is as we're flying south, this second VOR, when that needle starts to move, that means we're in range of battleground, and we'll be able to switch to the frequency to the next VOR. And that way we kind of stair-step through our flight plan. And that's kind of a cool thing to do. Okay, that's the November taxiway. So we'll keep going down here. If we were on VATSIM, we would use the comm radios over here too. The numbers are a little hard to see, especially when it's cloudy and rainy like it is in Seattle. The autopilot is down here. It's called a gyropilot. It does not behave even close to what it is that you're expecting it to behave like. Let's go ahead and get the next step in the process. Let's do before takeoff checklist.
Boost pumps.
We're getting ready to go here. So booster pumps are going on.
Fuel selector and crossfeed. Main tanks and crossfeed off. Autopilot and carbide. Off and cold. Hydraulic system. Down, forward, pressure. Flaps 20.
There goes our flaps. And you heard right, flaps 20 for takeoff.
Windows and turbine. Closed and on. Controls. Gust lock released. Free.
There is the gust lock, so now we can do a control check.
On.
There we go.
Cowl flaps. Reach and locked. Set. Transponder. On.
There's your transponder. The landing lights are like modern day Airbuses. They drop down out of the
Takeoff checks complete.
they drop down out of the bottom of the airplane. You have some lighting over here. You can do the captain's white light over here. The captain also has a red light too. So there is the captain's white light. I guess those are mixed up. There's the red light on the console. so you can add a little bit of lighting if you need to. And these are point, hold, and drag kinds of knobs. If you're looking for more lighting controls, they're kind of scattered all over the cockpit here. Okay, so we've got a couple of things we can check here. First of all, there's flap position, 20. There is also this indicator right here. This is called free air. That's your outside air temperature. There's degrees Celsius. There's 10. We actually need to be prepared for anti-ice today. Now, I've got anti-ice turned off right now. My anti-ice is turned off right now because apparently it's causing trouble with the Phoenix. So it's not an issue, but that being said, this airplane will ice up on you and you will fall out of the sky and the embarrassment is terrible. We're going to go ahead and do the echo departure here. Okay, so all is right with the world. We've got our flight engineer all ready to take care of us. And if you do want to do the anti-ice stuff, anti-ice is over here. So we've got anti-ice over here. There's more cockpit lighting. Here's cockpit temperature. Here is windshield heat. If your windshield starts to ice up, this is where you can turn it on. So that's windshield. And then if you come down here, those are heaters. There's carburetor de-icer. Here's your prop de-icer. Here's the airfoil de-icer. So that's where you would turn on all of your icing. I think we're ready to go. So with this airplane, what I usually do is I start up and start us going out onto the runway. And yes, this airplane is good enough. You can take it on VATSIM. You can take this on VATSIM and count on it. You just need to know what you're doing. All right. And let's go ahead and get, as we start to line up, is when I'm going to go ahead and have the flight engineer do the rest of the takeoff. Basically, I like to go, unless we're really, really busy, I'll go and I'll get lined up on the runway. Okay, a couple more things I want to show you. You see this indicator right here below the main VOR. There's altimeter, there's airspeed. This here, there's actually two indicators here, VOR1 and VOR2. So we're going to be looking at this one pretty carefully. Ready to go? So the brakes are on. Come over to the flight engineer. If we were a very, very heavy airplane, you would do what's called a wet takeoff. We are not heavy. We are going to be dry. Here we go.
30 inches stabilize.
So they're going to start rolling the throttles forward. There goes the RPM. As they're going up, take your throttles in your cockpit and move them up about halfway. And then you don't have to touch them at this point. Toe brakes are still on.
Cowl flaps set. Full power, please.
Okay, so the cowl flaps are up here, and they've that's cooling. Now they're doing full power, still standing on the on the toe brakes, and our throttles are full. And I usually wait till the engine stabilize.
Full power set.
Are we ready to fly? Brakes off, up, and away. Airspeed's alive. There's 80 knots. That's probably good. Let's gently pull back on the stick. Airplane's gonna float off the runway. It's very gentle like that. And then the flight engineer will raise your landing gear.
Gear up, lights out, flaps up. Flaps going up.
We're starting to build some good airspeed now. Let's continue. Our first course heading is going to be 205 to the Olympia VOR. Well, we're already doing pretty good right now.
VTOL power.
There we go.
Power 48 inches, 2600 RPM.
And you can see this oh, whoa, 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 whoa. No. We don't go up. Yes, not down, up. I moved my throttle just a bit. Okay, now you can see we're coming over on the 205 radial here.
Meter power set.
And let's roll out.
Power. Setting climb power.
We're going to 12,000, remember. We're doing a fairly decent climb at the moment. I'm going to let the stick go down a bit. We're lining up really pretty good. So, autopilot. Let's get a little help from the gyro pilot here. On.
After takeoff checklist.
Engaged. It is now doing heading hold. I'm going to slowly release the stick. Hands are now off the stick and feet are off the rudder pedals. So the gyro pilot has us. We're doing pretty good on our heading. This is starting to center up. We are 33 miles away from the VOR. We're climbing pretty good right now, but a little bit fast. So to adjust your rate of climb, there's this knob right here. These two thumb wheels are connected. So maybe push this down about 3 clicks. There we go. About 500 to 700 feet per minute on the climb. We're actually really going gangbusters. We're already at 250 knots. Okay, this thing is also centering up to, and we're 31 miles away from Olympia. So as this continues to center up, we actually can use part of the autopilot. There is a control here. It says gyro pilot and localizer and approach. Localizer is like VOR lock. Approach is the ILS. So what we'll do is as we get set up here, now you can see we're almost centered up on the radial that we want to be on. I'm going to kick in localizer. You don't want to leave it on. You only leave your localizer on till about 10 miles from there. Then you have to go back to the gyro pilot to make your turn. We're almost centered up here. Almost centered up. So we're now on our radial. Let's get some help from that. So we'll come down here and localizer. And localizer might adjust your headings just a little bit, but did you see? Look at this. The second VOR is going. We are now picking up, the battleground VOR. This is perfect. So we now have, according to the DME, which is down here, 26 miles to go. 26 miles to go to Olympia. And if you come over here and if you're using a flight tracker of some sort, like in my case, I'm using Navigraph. There's Olympia right there to give you an idea about how you're doing. You can also use Sim Toolkit Pro. You can use Volanta as your flight tracker as sort of like a backup. Okay, you're being a little freaky here. Did a localizer actually engage? Sometimes it doesn't. Because we're kind of drifting off to the side here. I'm going to go back to gyro pilot. And now we're going to do a little bit of a turn to the left here. It doesn't seem to be right. Okay, so there's something I call the quarter. So we did a turn here to get it centered back up. You hit the quarter. That's how you do that. You hit the quarter. Let's try a little bit to the right here. We're 20 miles away, so we're not doing a very good job of tracking to the VOR. So let's go ahead and go straight to it. We probably have some upper level winds here. So let's look at Sky Vector. Let's come on over here and go to layers. And I'm gonna do wind barbs. Yeah, okay. It's kind of blowing us a little bit off. So I didn't do a very good job of planning ahead. Okay, you can see now let's go ahead and hit the quarter, stop our turn, just go straight. And let's see if now we can get a little bit more centered up. We're 19 miles to go. We're almost ready to make our turn to Battleground anyway. But we kind of like to be in our proper place in the sky. We're passing 5,000 feet. Remember, we're going to 12. We're going to 12. And we're doing a fairly good climb, about 600 feet per minute. That's actually pretty nice. 17 miles. Let's see if we're going to be able to go and get back over where we belong. Airplane's doing pretty good. You can go outside. If ice is starting to form, you'll see it form on your nose and also on these things. The thing in the middle of the prop here, it's called the spinner. You'll see ice forming there if you've got an icing problem. But as I said, we're kind of chilled out about the ice. Oops, hit the wrong button. I thought I was doing the little stupid joke. We're actually getting a little bit closer, so this is starting to move, so that's pretty good. And you can see it's just after 8 o'clock local time, so we have a semi-on-time departure. How about that? $14 miles to Olympia, passing 6,000 feet. Okay, we've done the takeoff. The next thing that we do is cruise. So we just continue our climb until 12. We're halfway there. Oh, look at this. We're slowly getting back over on our VOR in the proper place in the sky with 12 miles to go. Now, as we get closer to about 5 miles is when I start thinking about my next course change. And this one's going to be really easy because Battleground is already showing up here. Okay, now we're on our VOR. Pretty close. Let's go and do a little bit of a turn here. So I'm clicking at about 3 clicks, and let's go ahead and get the pointer here, the skinny line, that's going to Olympia. Let's have it point right at Olympia. VOR to VOR navigate. Okay, that's good. Hit the quarter. There we go. We got the quarter there. Perfect. We're in a really good spot now. We're 9 miles away from Olympia. Our next course is going to be the 151 degree radial. And if you look in here, you can see we're pretty close to 151. Make sure that you're on gyropilot, not localizer. I'm going to flip the frequencies now. So now this is 1. There we are over there, and we're now tracking towards, we're now receiving Battleground. Now let's dial this over, and we want to be on the 151 degree radial, and we're pretty close to that. Let's get some help, and let's see if we can't get some, let's see what the localizer does for us. Localizer, it should start a turn. It's not starting a turn. I must have screwed up. Let's go and get on our course heading. Do it manually. Something's wrong with that. So let's do this manual. And if you look, now that we've shifted to Battleground, you can see it's now 77 miles to Battleground. So let's do our turn. We're still climbing pretty good. We may want to increase our rate of climb now. And so I just did 2 clicks of the nose up a bit so we can get to 12,000. And we're tracking. Get ready to hit the quarter. I think it was just a button, but it looks like a quarter to me, so that's why I call it the quarter. Okay, we're slightly off to the side too, so I'm going to overturn just a bit. That's probably enough. Quarter. coming up on 7,500. And let's see if that won't set her up for me. It could be I was way too off the course and maybe localizer wasn't going to help us out. Now then, because we're not doing the longest of flights, we're going to be busy campers. So let's start getting ready for the arrival. And we're coming in on the ILS of 10 left. 10 left ILS, the frequency is 111.3. Let's come over here and go to 111.3. And I'm going to make this an active frequency. I'm going to go to 111.3 over here, and I'm going to just leave it. So now what this means is when we see this, the needle here with the double, the two lines, when that starts moving around, that means we're picking up the ILS. But right now we're doing pretty good here. 71 miles out, passing 9,000 feet. And our airplane is flying along pretty good so far. We're climbing at a good 700 feet per minute. Let's go ahead and do localizer again and see if that doesn't do something for us. Is that going to adjust me at all? It looks, I don't know if it's adjusting me at all or not. Maybe a turn, but you know, it's kind of minute. Okay, 9,000 feet, we're going to 12. Obviously, we are not climbing like a rocket here today. After Battleground, so once we track to Battleground, from Battleground, if we do a heading of 234 degrees, that should set us up. And our platform altitude is 2,000 feet at Blazer. So we got to do the math. What is the math for our top of descent? Well, if we want to be at, say, 3,000 feet and we're going to 12, let's get the calculator. So we're going to be at 12,000 feet. And let's say we want to go to 3,000 feet. So subtract 3,000 and then go times 3 divided by 1,000. And this gives you a very, very rough, extremely rough top of descent. So if we wanted to be at, say, 3,000 feet by Battleground, we need to do that 27 miles away. I always add a little bit to this. So 27, I'm going to start my descent around 35. So 35. Again, it's like Pirates of the Caribbean. It's not a rule, it's a guideline. And you always fudge a little bit. Okay, this is not working at all. I must have not turned something on. Right. So we need to go a little bit to the right here. And I'm just doing like 3 clicks of the I'm doing like 3 clicks of the knob over there. So we do a gentle little bit of a turn. And then once we get where we want to be. Okay, we're also coming up on 1,000 feet from our altitude. This is about as good as we're going to get. Let's hit the quarter and let's not worry about this. It's almost time for us to go and start getting ready for level off. To do that, you kind of come back here, and I'm going to go and push the nose down a little bit. So just 2 clicks, and you can see that our rate of climb went down, way down. Now we're actually almost descending. So let's do a click of nose up. It's super sensitive at this point. There's 10,000 feet. Now let's try and 1 click of nose down. And it's going to drop us a little bit. I'm trying to reduce my rate of climb here. There's 5,000. Let's do 1 more gentle click of that and see what it does. Okay, down, down, down. Let's see if it, okay, it's kind of stopping. I really like to be about 300 to 400 feet per minute as I approach my final cruise. And that's actually really where I like it to be, right around there. We're still climbing, and once we get to 12,000 feet, we're going to go ahead and hit this button over here. So this button over here is the altitude control. And that's basically altitude hold. We're slightly off our course here. So we got blown off a little bit from battleground. We want to be a little bit more to the right. So let's go 1, 2, 3. And again, I'm just doing my minute little controls here. I'm watching my altitude. 400 feet to go. And that's good. Let's go ahead and hit the quarter and see how that, see if that stabilizes us there. We are 55 miles away from battleground VOR. Let's watch this, make sure that we're lining up. We're coming up. We're climbing at about 400 or 500 feet per minute. Okay, let's go ahead and tilt up so that we can see the altimeter. Rate of climb. Now then, last thing, we're about 200 feet away. Hit the B button. Just reset your altimeter. Hit the B button. Make sure that you've got the right altimeter setting, and that's more of a VATSIM thing. Or 122.8 if you're above 18,000 feet. 100 feet to go. I've got my mouse here over on the altitude hold button. 200 feet. 100 feet, 3, 2, 1, and altitude hold. And it should settle us into altitude hold. And as it settles in, come over here and do the cruise checklist.
Cruise power, please. Setting cruise power.
Okay, how are we doing here? Are we getting over here? Not really. So let's go another 1, 2, 3 on the heading. And let's go a little bit more to the right. We've obviously got the wind blowing us off a little bit, and given the wind barbs, I guess that's probably to be expected. And you can hear the engines coming down a little bit here. We're turning. That's probably good enough. Let's experiment there. Hit the quarter, stop the turn, and see if this gets us back on our VOR radio. We're holding 12,000 feet. Welcome to cruise. In case you're new and you haven't spent a lot of time with VFR charts, so one of the things is as we come down here, you see a big number in blue. There's Olympia. So we're coming down here. There's Olympia. So you see 4.1, that's 4,100. That is the highest elevation obstruction that you have to deal with. We're at 12,000 feet. We've got no problem. Now over here, if we were flying here, 12,500, there would be something within this box that we would run into. So that's what those are all about. But Sky Vector is so cool for being able to do this kind of flight planning. It's a really good planner. It's great that it's available free and that flight simmers can use it. And by the way, what we're doing here, this is something you do in the real world too. Now, there's a few more steps involved, but if you're, say, like getting your private pilot's license and you have to plan your cross country, this is how you do it. In fact, one of the things that I want to do, and I haven't had a chance to do it, maybe I'll do that today, I have time today, is I want to go and take my old cross country that I did to get my private pilot's license and plug it in to Sky Vector, and then go get the Cessna 152, which is what I did my cross country in, and fly it. I think that would be a cool thing to do. We're still not coming over here, so let's go ahead and do a little more of a turn to the right. So 3 little clicks, and I'm using the mouse wheel to turn it. So let's try a heading of 180 degrees. And see if that doesn't get us centered back over on our proper place in the sky. There's 175. 176. Again, this thing is slow going on this airplane. And directly south, 180 degrees and quarter. Let's see if that doesn't center that up a little bit. 12,000 feet. We are 40 miles away from the Battleground VOR. Remember, we did the math. We said 27. So, guess what? It's almost time to start our descent. But then again, that's one of the cool things. You can do these really big long-haul flights and stuff. I really feel like, shorter flights like this is great for learning, proficiency with your airplane. And learning proficiency with the airplane is how you could go and take some old clunky thing like this and fly it in a VATSIM event. I mean, let's say it's Friday night ops at Chicago. There is no reason why you couldn't take off from Milwaukee and fly down to Chicago. In fact, I'll bet that you could find a real-world timetable for a DC-6 flight, maybe not United, maybe it would have been at that time American or something. You could find, or TWA, a DC-6 flight from Milwaukee to Chicago in a Friday night ops and take this airplane in there and it would work for you, which is, I think, one of the cool things about this old bird. Okay, we are slowly getting back over to our point in the sky. Look at how crabby we are. We clearly have some wind. Okay, 135. Guess what? It's time to descent checklist.
26 inches, please. Setting 26 inches.
And we're going to release, altitude hold, and I'm going to pitch the nose down just 3 little clicks. Just 3.
26 inches set. Descent checklist, please. Altimeters and flight instruments.
Okay, about 500 feet per minute. That's pretty good. I like it to be more like 7 in this old thing. 7, so we may do one more click here.
Descent checks are complete.
Okay, there's our descent. Hey, we're centering this up pretty good too. We may need to go and adjust our heading just a bit. Next thing to do is keep also a close eye on the needle here with the 2 lines. That's VOR2. That is currently looking for the ILS. So we're looking for the ILS here. And if you can, come on over here, take a look and see how we're doing. Well, we're kind of off our line a little bit here. So we're off the little magenta line, not too bad. But you can see we're coming up on Battleground and we're getting close. So that's a good way to check your, to check everything out. And our descent's pretty good. Okay, we're also centering this up here. So we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna split the difference here. We're gonna go to 165 degrees when that centers up. So 165. Let's go ahead and I'm gonna click the nose up one click. Just, I don't want to descend too fast. I'd much rather be a little high here. Okay, that's pretty well centered up. Let's go ahead. 1, 2, 3 clicks on the knob. And we decided 165 on this old heading here. There's 175. There's 10,000 feet. And we have 27 miles to go. Maybe 1.6. We're slightly over the line now. So we'll stop at 1.6. There's 1.65. 4, 3, 2, and quarter. Center up the turn, and there we go. If you're tracking along with Volanta, chances are you're going to see the really crap. Oh my gosh, look at how far off we got blown here. Oh, that's a bit of a failure on my part. This is also one of those airplanes, by the way, that you kind of need to stay frosty with, especially if you're going to want to take this into the Friday night ops or something like that. Okay, we're pretty close to the center line. Looks like we're getting blown actually to the other side. So how about 1, 2, 3 to the right? And let's go back to my original plan of about 165. You can also hear the rain is falling outside the airplane. So it is definitely a soggy day in the Pacific Northwest. We're going down to about 3,000 feet here. Maybe just a little bit more. It's all about feel right now. Okay, let's do the quarter. And if you're kind of wondering when I talk about it, so this is the climb and descend, so I'm pushing the nose down. 2 clicks like that to push the nose up and down, that's what I mean. Oh my gosh, now there's 1,500 feet per minute. But I think we're getting a tad bit high. A little bit high. There's 8,000. Not much. Let's do 1 click. So 1 click up. Now it says glide and climb. So these 2 knobs are held together. Those 2 knobs are held together. That's better. A little under 1,000 feet should do us. And we're back off to the other side there. Well, we're getting fairly close. 19 miles out. I'd like to be a little bit. So let's go 1, 2, 3. There's 16.5. You know, that was my original plan. Maybe that's what I should have stuck with. How about halfway? There we go. Let's do the quarter and see how it does there. There's the quarter. Okay, so let's see if that centers up. 17 miles. What are we doing after we get to the Battleground VOR? Well, by that time, we're hoping that we're picking up the ILS. Remember, as we look at the ILS chart, we were going to go and do a heading of 234 degrees. 234 degrees, and we'll continue our descent. So after that, it's 212. So it's going to be 234 degrees like that is what we're going to do our turn on as we go out. There's 6,000 feet. We got 15 miles to go. I'm going to reduce my rate of descent a bit. So 1 click of nose up. Let me zoom in so you see. So I just clicked the nose up, 1 click there. Yeah, it helped out a little bit. We're still moving along pretty good. We're about, what, 210 knots? That's not a bad flight here. Clearly, today is not the day to go flying in the Pacific Northwest. Just not the nice sunny day. Clearly not the day that I need to open up my business, my small business of selling sunscreen for the beach at Seattle. Of course, I could swap over and sell umbrellas, I guess. 12 miles to Battleground. We're at 5,000 feet, a little high now, so I'm going to do 1 click of nose down. Coming up on 15. Hey, look at this. We are now picking up the ILS. Not too shabby here. So let's go over Battleground. We'll make the turn to 235 and go out on the 235 degree radial and stay at 3,000. There's 9 miles, so let's go ahead and dial this out. So 235 degree radial is what we want. So there's 21, there is 22, there is 23, there is 235. That's the radial we want to go outbound on. 8 miles to go. We'll start that turn to 235 and go outbound on that radial. So as we look, the going to, for what we're hoping, it should be the opposite direction. Hey, from 7 miles to go. We're passing 4,000 feet. We want to stop at 3. So we need to go ahead and let's go and pop up a nose up. Reduce our rate of descent here. Okay, that's a little bit better. There's 4,000. 5 miles to go. This is about 700 feet per minute. If you're a little unsure, come on over here, get your chart up here. Or just look over here and you can see up there's Battleground, and we're going to come out this way to land. That's a great way to just make sure that you're all set and ready to go. We've also got the local clock here. We're supposed to be pulling up at the gate at 8:55. We're actually a little early today. How about that? It is an on-time arrival. I'm going to do one click of nose up, reduce my rate of descent as we approach 3,000, so it's not such a jarring little click. We're 2 miles from Battleground. So as usual with this airplane, everything happens at once. There's 1 mile. Let's start the turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the turn. We're coming up on 3,000. 100 feet, 3, 2, 1, and hit the quarter on the turn. No, not the quarter on the turn. Altitude hold. Hey, I'm in touch. I know what we're doing. Okay, did we get all the way over to where we wanted to be? Oh, not even close. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's get that turn done. See, everything just goes crazy. Let's also hit the B button. Different altimeter setting here. So we're doing a nice turn. Let's get the flight engineer working for us. We're going to say that we are in range of the airport.
Normal. Fuel booster pumps.
Let's see how we did. Oh my gosh, we're not doing very good at all. So we're slowly making our turn. Okay, so what we really need to do is we need to go in the opposite direction, 283. We're going to continue our turn to 283. So a reciprocal course. We need a little bit of breathing room here. There's 2-1, 2-2. We can probably turn a little bit steeper, but generally my rule with this airplane is take it really easy. I think we're done with the Battleground VOR, so I'm going to switch over to the ILS. And now the ILS is up. We are 5 miles from the ILS. You can also see we're a little bit high at the moment too. So there's 3,000. Let's go ahead and get centered up, and then we can start our turn in. I'm continuing to make my turn out so that we're doing a good downwind here. Still holding about 3,000. Now then, we have not done anything with our throttles at all. Once we start to get on approach, we're going to go and we will be taking control from the flight engineer of the throttles for our landing. So you will start riding the throttle a little bit on that. And we're coming up on 2.7. Remember, it was 2.83 is what we were calling a reciprocal course. Here comes the glide slope. Looking good. Just what we wanted. That's probably really good. Let's hit the quarter and let's go ahead and do landing checklist before landing.
Flaps 20. Setting flaps 20.
We may need to, at this point, now you have control of your throttles. So I'm going to go ahead and start slowing the airplane down a bit. Here comes that glide slope. Let's go a little bit beyond the glide slope here. We'll let it get a little bit above us so we can intercept as we come on in.
Mistress Ridge, wait. Auto Ridge.
Speed's coming down.
Set.
After flaps 20, you have to do your own flaps. Here comes landing gear. Here comes the wheels. So if you want more flaps, just do your normal flap lever, or your flap button in this airplane. All right, our course heading is 103. This is going to have to be a fairly tight turn. Let's start it. Now we're really going to crank it around here.
Cal flaps.
10-mile finals.
Cal flaps set. ADI. ADI off. ADI is off. Landing lights. Speed good. Extending lights. Lights extended and on. RV. Calming cold.
Okay, the airplane has started another descent to 2,000. We didn't say to do that though, did we? I would like it to hold our altitude here. There we go. There's 2,500. Okay, that's pretty good. Let's do the quarter. And that way we can intercept, I'm hoping. Probably did that a little bit too late. How's our speed? There's 100. Let's push our throttles forward. We don't want to get too slow. Okay, let's see if it will do the approach. Let's see if it'll snag the approach for us. Probably won't. Nope, it's not going to do it. Time for us to do our job. Autopilot is going off. Captain's got the airplane. Roll on over. So flying with the stick and rudder right now, that's a little bit. Let's go ahead and roll back steady. Using the artificial horizon, we're climbing. Oh my goodness, we're all over the place here. There we go. I forgot I have trim controls in the airplane. Okay, now we're going down a little bit too much. Now we're going up. Just doing a couple little taps there. Roll out, we're steady. We're on the ILS. Well, no, we're actually off to the side. Let's try a turn. Oh, let's go visual. I see the river. We're a little low. A little fast. Let's pull the throttle back. Let's look for the river over there. That's probably enough. Little high. There's some trim. There comes the localizer. There comes the glide slope. There's the bridges. Not the nicest day for flying, is it? A little low, and the visibility is getting even worse. Still going down a little bit too much for my taste. I have a bad feeling about this. Let's push those throttles forward a little bit. Here comes the localizer again. Let's try and stay caught up. Okay, we seem to be climbing. That's okay. There's the river. Now we're a lot more lined up. Now let's see if we can see some runway lines. Okay, we're climbing a bit now, so that's not good. A little bit of trim down. And let's get off to the side. We're getting blown off to the side here. There's glide slope. Little high now. Throttle can come back. Now we're high. I got the airport, I got the runway. So as soon as you can look up and see something visual, wow, does that make your life better? I don't even want to see this flight path on Volanta. Is that Molly Hatchet I hear singing Flirtin' with Disaster? And turn to the runway. We must have a really big crosswind today. Look at how crabby we are on this landing. There we go. Prop reversers. Listen for the click. Brakes. Yeah, I'd say we had a little bit of a crosswind today. Stow the props. Off the runway. Welcome to Portland. Holy moly. That was a thing after landing. Of course, maybe it would have been a little bit better had I chosen to do a nicer place to fly as opposed to typical, you know, Pacific Northwest weather. Anyway, we made it. Nobody was hurt. I don't think I have any special phone numbers to call. I'm sure that, you know, it was a little bit dodgy in some cases. Okay, let's see. United actually has commuter parking here. So as we come over here, we can go. There's parking over there. We're going to go to... Oh, wow. That's like their commuter lot. Okay, well, we're clearly not going to go to the commuter lot today, are we? That's quite the parking area. So, I'm not sure, again, how much of this actually works in Xbox, but because PMDG has worked on it as long as PMDG has, my guess is a lot of what it is that you see here should work in Xbox, because I don't think that they're going to put out something that is not workable. So I would think that this would be really pretty good for you. And I, can't wait to hear, how this works for you. If you're new and haven't discovered the spy flight, we fly every day. I think I have scenery error problem here today. This just seems weird. If you're new to the spy flight, we fly over on Twitch 6 days a week. 1900 Zulu is our departure time. You are always welcome. Every flight is a group flight. You can fly on both Xbox and PC if you'd like. I also recently did launch a Patreon page to do pre-flight briefings. The squeak you hear is the brakes. The airplane has squeaky old brakes, which is a cool thing. Most all the flights we do are worldwide. Mostly it's in jetliners, but I think with the DC-6 out, I would expect that we're going to be doing some DC-6 flying next week. One of my favorite DC-6 routes is the route of the original Berlin airlift. Okay, let's go ahead and do parking brakes. There's parking brakes. And we'll come over here and do parking.
Parking brakes.
So the parking brake is set. If you come outside, you can come out and you can watch the propellers. The flight engineer will turn off all the propellers for you. If you're into some immersion, you could also go and open up doors. And there goes those props. This, by the way, was also the vintage livery that you have, and most all of the liveries with the DC-6 should be available to you over on Xbox too. So my hope is that all that works really, really good for you. As always, at the end of one of my flights, I always like to say I'm a flight simmer. I've been live streaming for 6 years. I've been flight simming since this first came out. I do have a private pilot's license, but I am not a jet pilot or anything like that. And this is never about the right way versus the wrong way. This is just what works for me, so that as you're getting going, you can find something that works for you and you can go and fly along. I'm new here on YouTube, so I'm still to the point where I read all the questions in the comments. If you've got a better way of doing things, I can't wait to hear what you have to say about the right way to fly this particular airplane for sure. And I will look forward to seeing you here on YouTube in a week. I will be back early tomorrow on Patreon. Thank you so much to the subscribers over on Twitch, and also the secret agents, the special agents and the double O's over on Patreon. Thank you so much for being there, or as I like to say, the jet fuel in my flight plan. I hope you're enjoying this airplane. It is a lot of fun. It is a completely different kind of flying, and I will look forward to seeing you in the friendly sim skies. As always, stay healthy, stay safe, and cheers.